If you are thinking about getting into copywriting, or you're about to hire a content or copywriter for your team, but you're not really sure what type of copywriting you should be focusing on, then you're probably sat right there feeling a little bit overwhelmed, right? There are so many different types of copywriting, different niches out there. It's difficult to understand actually what's going to move the needle in your business. So there's email copy, sales page copy, product page copy, ad copy, social media copy. Then there's things like content writing, conversion writing. They all sound like they require completely different skills. But here's the truth, they do not. They actually require the same fundamental understanding of persuasion and psychology, but the difference is just the format and the goal. My name is 𝗧𝗛𝗪𝗪 and I run a 7-figure marketing agency. We're a content marketing agency specifically, and I hire hundreds of freelance writers. I've worked with a load of different freelance writers, content writers, and copywriters across the spectrum. So I've been sat on both ends of the table, if you like, and today I'm going to break down the different types of copywriting and explain what makes them all unique, what actually pays the most, and which one you should be hiring for if you're a small business, and also which one you should be niching down for if you would like to build a profitable freelance content writing business. So let's start with email copywriting, because it's probably, well, some people say it's probably the most accessible entry point, or it's something that people understand a lot. Email copywriting is writing the emails that businesses send to their customers and to their prospects. So this could be a welcome sequence for a new subscriber. It could be an abandoned cart email. It could be a promotional email, a re-engagement email. It could even be a cold email. Email copywriting is great because the barrier to entry is quite low. I've found that the best email copywriters don't need actually a huge portfolio, and they don't need years of experience as great copywriting or email copywriters. You might be thinking, well, Holly, what do you mean? Email is probably one of the hardest things to write really well. That's true, but I've also found that people who write email content or great email copy often come from kind of outside the business. They're no longer jaded by sort of being in the marketing machine for many, many years. And I feel like some of the best emails that I've ever written have actually been written by kind of new, fresh copywriters and content writers. They've come to me with incredible portfolios from emails that they've written, that if they've written on behalf of clients that weren't even their clients, maybe just dream clients, and they prepared a list or a sequence of really great email sequences and email templates, and they've been fantastic. I also think that if you come from a sales background, or if you've worked in any form of sales, this kind of copywriting and content writing will come really easily to you, because it's basically breaking down a sales pitch into an email and then just focusing from there. The other thing about email copywriting is that every single person who has an email list needs email copy, period. And sometimes they don't really care if you've not done it before. Businesses instead, they care if you can write emails that get opened and get clicked. And if you can think in a really exciting way that is a sales way, that it builds relationships and that really, really makes somebody engage with your content. That's why some of the funnest email copywriters I've worked with actually haven't come from marketing, and they've been completely new to content writing and copywriting. If you're a business looking to hire an email copywriter, that's the kind of things that I will be looking for. And specifically, I'll be looking at past campaigns, how clever or unique the emails are. I'd want to know the AI usage, like are they using AI, because my inbox is filled with spammy AI emails. And so I don't want you to fall into the same trap there and just start sending out the same waffle as everybody else. But instead, I'd really be focusing on hiring someone who has an understanding of sales fundamentals. So I would be looking at somebody who's got a proven track record of sales and building relationships, rather than someone who's pedantic about the Oxford comma. And that's really what I'd be looking at for my email copy. So if you're a business or a freelancer, what could you expect to be paid or to pay for great email copywriting? So I've paid anywhere between $100 to $3,000 for an email sequence, depending on the business size and the complexity of the project. That's just for one email sequence. So if your automation has a whole load of email sequences, you can expect to pay a lot more. If you are an email copywriter, you can kind of expect to charge anywhere between $100 and maybe $15,000, $20,000 for an email copywriting project. Obviously, if you're just starting out, don't hit those pitches for the $15,000. They'll want to see evidence. They'll want to see see that you're an accredited copywriter, that you've got a big repertoire behind you and evidence that supports your skill. So bear that in mind when you're quoting. And obviously as a business, you can negotiate with beginner copywriters to get a better deal for you, a better bang for your buck, as it were. Okay, so once you've thought about email copywriting, I want to talk about landing page copywriting. And in my experience, this is actually where copywriters can earn the most money. So a landing page is the page that someone ends up when they click on an ad. And it's not just your homepage or your product pages or whatever. It's a specific page that is designed to convert. A landing page is typically longer and more complex, and it requires a deep understanding of the customer, the problem, and the solution. Importantly, writing a landing page is not like a thing that can happen in a weekend, or well, I'm sure that you can do, but whether or not that's going to work in your business is in doubt, I would say. Writing a good landing page requires a lot of time to really get into the psychology behind your customer and understand the product. And really, a great landing page can make or break a business and an ad campaign. A good landing page might convert at 5% or 10% in comparison to landing pages or ads that just link to your homepage, where you might be looking at a conversion rate of less than 1%. So imagine how much that would impact your bottom line. And that's why you might be paying a little bit over the odds for a good landing page and conversion copywriter. The typical pay range is between $2,000 to even $20,000 per page, again, depending on the size of your business and the complexity of the campaign that you're running. And here's the thing, right? If your landing page just increases conversions by even 1%, you might have made an extra $50,000 a month in headline revenue, depending on the budget that you've got that's funneling people to that ad and to that landing page. So some copywriters and some excellent landing page conversion copywriters will actually charge based on a performance fee. I've never done this myself, and I have only met one person who successfully does this, but they actually charge a percentage of the revenue increase that they've generated, and that might be over a specific amount of time. So that means that one landing page, they might have an initial cost of, say $5,000 to renew it, but then a percentage of the revenue that they make each month. And that's where that $5,000 landing page contract turns into, over the course of 12 months, perhaps even a $50,000 landing page contract. And it's all dependent on the skill of the writer and the performance of the work that they deliver. Of course, I would say that not every single copywriter can become a conversion writer. It's a really specific skill. And writing excellent landing pages not only requires a knowledge of sales psychology, of deep understanding of your product and of your business, that they'll usually need to spend time investing into your business and really working out, but it also means that they need to be sharp on writing. The conversion copy is usually what we might call as micro copy, small, impactful headlines where just 3 words or 4 words could make the difference. Compare that to a copywriter or content writer who might be paid by the word. You might be paying really above the odds for that combination of 3 or 4 words, but really what you're paying for is the amount of time that it took to come to that final conclusion. Okay, our next type of copywriting is e-commerce copywriting, and that's where you might be writing product descriptions and product pages for online stores. Now, this is a huge market because there are millions of e-commerce businesses out there, and most of them, in my opinion, have terrible product copy. They usually just list the features and they don't really sell the benefits, so they're just describing the product. They don't really address objections in that product page, and most of the time, unfortunately, you'll find businesses just generate their product descriptions using AI, and that means that they're not really, maybe not even accurate, they've not been human edited. It's costing them conversions at the end of that. When the customer comes to that page, they're usually at the end of the sales funnel, and so having a poor product page and product description can cost you those valuable signups at the end of your funnel. So a good e-commerce copywriter can actually increase the amount of conversions that you experience in your business. And also one of the other benefits of this is that it can be really templated. So if you've got 1,000 products on your page, you can usually utilize AI. Usually what we do at 𝗪𝗢𝗥𝗞𝗜 is we'll write maybe the first 10, the first 20, the first 50 by hand. We'll really spend a lot of time on that. And then we'll actually build out a GPT that we'll offer to the client as part of our aftercare service. That that allows them any products that they are adding after that they can use the GPT to actually create the product description. It really fits in well with the copy that we've created, and it uses a lot of the data that we used to, handle objections, to deliver more information on the products and themselves. We would say though that doesn't mean you can just use AI all the time. You do still need a human editor, a human reviewer, and that's to make sure that this is actually generating stuff that is correct and true. The last thing that you want to do is lose customers by false promising something at the end of that funnel, at the end of that product page. And that's why if you spend a lot of time investing in that initial part, then you can template them and you can utilize AI to go forward. So the typical range for a business could be between $50 per product, depending on your AI usage, all the way up to $3,000 per product, depending on the kind of product that you're offering. In one of the campaigns that I've worked on, we white labeled for an agency who wrote specifically product descriptions, and they wrote really detailed, really in-depth sort of landing pages on this end product page. And so for that, we did charge a lot more, because that landing page, that product description required a lot more copy than perhaps just a generic product description of if you've got over 10,000 products in your store. But if you've got over 10,000 products in your store, what you'd be looking for and what you'd be paying for is the strategic direction behind it, how to use AI and how to use the tools that you've got available to scale product descriptions while also maintaining their quality and the accuracy of the work that you're including there. So what kind of copywriter is going to be good at product descriptions? I mean, to be honest, someone who really understands AI is going to be top of my list. Again, you also need to understand that sales psychology. You need to deeply understand the business and all of this type of stuff. But someone who knows how to scale copy with AI would be hot on my agenda. Of course, the downside of this is most of the time you're writing stuff that's quite repetitive. And if you've got 10,000 SKUs, for instance, then you need to write AI content for all of those. It can be quite an overwhelming project. So you also need to be someone, or you need to look for someone if you're hiring for them, someone who's good at managing complex data sheets, perhaps someone who's got a really, really keen eye for detail because they'll be reviewing large amounts of content and copy. So slightly different skills from someone who's perhaps an email copywriter or a landing page copywriter, where you can spend a lot of time on a small amount of copy. Product descriptions, you need accuracy over a large scale. But having said that, if you can work with large data sets like that and you can work with multiple clients, you really can build a solid income by working specifically in product descriptions. Okay, the next type of copy is ad copy and social media copywriting. So ad copy is the writing that appear on ads on platforms like social media, Google, TikTok, even on out-of-home ads like on billboards. And then social media copy is those short form, punchy pieces of copy that appear on your news feed or on your social media feed. And the purpose of these is to grab attention and get clicks. In my opinion, ad copy is actually one of the hardest types of copywriting because you really have such a limited space to make your point. In a Facebook ad, for instance, it only has 125 characters. And more often than not, you've also got to include key things like keywords or maybe a specific word that the client wants you to include. So those characters are really quickly eaten away. You can expect to pay up to $500, $1,000, $2,000 per ad campaign with multiple variations. And it really, again, it depends on the size of your campaign and the complexity of the campaign that you're running. But if you are a copywriter, the advantage of this is you can write multiple ads a day. And if you've got a repertoire of high performing ads, you can actually reuse them over time so that you know that this ad copy or this ad format is going to perform really well. Social media copy, on the other hand, is less urgent and it's less difficult because the copy of social media has such a low shelf life. So what do I mean by that? Usually, I mean, if you make a post on Instagram or on Facebook or even on TikTok, usually within a day, that post is already forgotten about. And although it's definitely a skill to write great social media copy in your captions, in your carousels, even in your short form videos, the reality is you would need to be creating so much content to perform well on those kinds of channels. One avenue where you might want to pay more or you might want to spend more time on if you're looking at social media is things like YouTube and LinkedIn. That's because those social medias are crawlable by search engines, and also the shelf life of a content piece performs much longer. So it's worth investing more into a content piece on those platforms versus on Instagram or Facebook, because when content on those platforms performs well, it will keep bringing in people to your funnel over the long term. So for social media people, maybe pivoting towards those platforms is where I would go if I was looking for a type of copywriting or a type niche that I was looking for in right now. One of the other things as well about social media like LinkedIn and YouTube is those people usually will pay a little bit more. LinkedIn audiences are reaching people in the B2B space, and so they've usually got budgets to spend that come from their business, come from enterprises, whatever. Whereas people on Instagram, they're usually building out something that is not such an important piece of content in their pipeline. It doesn't really give them a lot of results. I might be judging here. I work in the B2B space, so Facebook and Instagram don't really apply for me. I think that's different from e-commerce, and e-commerce brands, that might be really, really important for them. But it definitely is a unique thing writing for all of those different platforms. So I would say if you're choosing a copywriting type, for me, I would look more at these longer form or these other platforms like LinkedIn and YouTube, just because there's more revenue to be had. So if you've made it this far, you might be thinking, well, which type of copywriting should I actually focus on, especially if you are a potential copywriter or you're building a business in copywriting? And really, the answer depends on your goals and on your strengths. So if you want consistent recurring income, I would say focus on email copywriting or retainer-based social media work. You can really build relationships with clients and work with them month after month. If you want to make the most money per project, then I would say focus on landing pages and sales page copywriting. These are the highest paid, the high ticket projects that pay really, really well. And they're the highest paid type of copywriting that we've had a look at already. So if you want a good balance of income, I would say go with those. However, if consistency is more your bag, I would say go with e-commerce copywriting, because there's such a huge demand and you can really work with multiple clients. Another personal thing for me is I think working with different clients is really exciting. So e-commerce, there's so many different products out there, so many different types of audiences that you can work with. And I love that about copywriting. Whereas if you focus specifically on a product, on sales copywriting for SaaS brands, there's only usually a certain amount of SaaS audiences out there. It's not quite so diverse. However, my recommendation, if you are right now looking to start a copywriting business, then I would start with email copywriting to build your portfolio and your confidence, right? And then as you get a little bit more experience, I would move into more of those higher ticket projects like landing page and sales page copywriting, where the bigger money is. But the beautiful thing about copywriting specifically is that once you understand the fundamentals, you really can apply them to any format. You can use them, in fact, to build your own business too. If you are out there looking for work right now, then I don't want you to leave this video without subscribing to the Get That Money newsletter. My agency, we scour the internet for the best copywriting jobs, including email copywriting, sales copywriting, ad copywriting, even social media copywriting. And we put them all into a weekly newsletter that is sent every single Monday with all of the businesses and what they're hiring for. And so it means that you don't have to do that digging for you. We've already done the hard work, and we just send you those jobs every single Monday. If you're starting a business, or if you're looking for your next client, or even if you're just growing and scaling your copywriting business, Get That Money is the place to start. Sign up below. The link is in the description box, and then you can get that money in your inbox every single Monday. If you have enjoyed this video, then thank you so much for watching. I am here for you every single week with tips on content writing and copywriting to help you scale your business and find your next clients. Don't forget to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button, and don't go without giving me a like or a comment as well if you've enjoyed this video. It really helps me to reach new audiences, and I really appreciate it. But in the meantime, I'll see you in the next video.